preached, we did a little game. We're going to play that same little game again today. So we have 3 sections here, like you see, and so I'm going to have a special word for each section. Okay, so this section here, your word is I. Okay, very simple. This section here is am, and this section here is redeemed. Okay, now we're saying this because when we get into God's word, guys, we need to realize where this word comes from. And we need to realize that it comes straight from Jesus and it comes straight from God. And He is the one that we need to follow as Christians. And we need to realize that exactly what it is that He has done for us. Okay? And we are redeemed because of Him and because of what He did right there. And we need to never, ever, ever forget that nor take that for granted. Okay? So first off, let's have this section do theirs. We're going to do a practice run for all those of you who are nervous. Okay? So go ahead.
Am.
All right? I know you guys are short people here, but it's a little weak. We've got to speak up. Here we go.
Am.
Good. One more time. Good.
Am.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because of the blood of Christ. Amen? Amen. Awesome. Children, you are now dismissed to Children's Church. Thank you for participating. Now, we're going to take a look real quick. As I was preparing this message this week, it takes a lot of prayer. As it always does, and rightfully so. Now, I came across this video that we're about to see here in just a second. And it's very powerful. And it's something that really moved me. Now, doing this a handful of times, I'm not a seasoned veteran, obviously, of course, but I have noticed that there is so much to be learned, not only in the delivering of the sermon, but also the studying and the preparation. To me, that is where a lot of things are learned, and a lot of conviction is felt, and a lot of lessons are learned. Now, I believe it's also part of the job that God does for us to convict us as pastors and those learning and studying to become pastors, to really feel that in order to portray that and give that to the congregation. Now, as we watch this video, let's keep in mind that we are redeemed in what He has done for us. And keep in mind that He does love us. And keep in mind that He does ask specific things from us. In certain ways we are to do things to honor Him.
God doesn't want you to go to church on Sunday. He doesn't want you to throw some money in the offering. He doesn't want your attention. He hasn't asked you for quiet time. He's not interested in your songs. Or should I say just? Jesus said in Matthew 16:24, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." You see, God doesn't want what you or I can give Him on a Sunday morning. He wants everything. It's so easy to treat God as an addition. We pile up our priorities until we can pile no longer. And then we find a space in our schedule and our hearts where we can fit God. And then we fall apart, wondering why we can go to church on Sunday and yet only seldom experience peace that surpasses all understanding. Or we read our Bible once a week and yet we wonder why we don't have any of the answers. Or we spend the minimal amount of time seeking God and then wonder why we can't find Him when we need Him. God does not just want to be an addition, a leftover. He wants everything. You might say, that kind of commitment just seems so impossible. But when we gave Him nothing, Jesus gave us His everything. He gave us His very life. And the amazing thing about what He did for us is that when we trust Him, we are made into new creations. And when we seek Him with our whole hearts, we will find Him. And you cannot spend time in the
showing me. Not the way I feel I need to learn, but the way he knows I need to be shown. Now we're going to be looking today at the book of Mark, chapter 7, verses 1 through 8. And we'll get there in just a second. If you want to turn your Bibles, I know we don't have the handouts today. It'll be Mark chapter 7, verses 1 through 8. Now this video, how many of us feel that way, the way he explained? How many of us feel that there are times that we are just reading a book? To be honest with yourself, we're humans. We're in the flesh. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. How many times have you felt that you're backsliding? How many times have you felt that God is just not near? You can't feel that presence. How many times have you felt that you have so many questions, yet no answers? Now we know one thing is for sure. God never does leave us when we're forsaken us. And that's something that was really on my heart this week. Praying through this, and God leads me to this verse and this topic. And I said, Lord, you know I'm not a seasoned veteran. You know I've done this a bunch of times, right? I said, sure, I know. I said, you know that I don't like stepping on my own feet, never mind anybody else's. I said, I know that too. You know I'm going to need you through this, right? I know. So how do I know that this is the right thing to do? Because I know that he's guiding me. He says, you might have all these questions about what people's reactions will be. But you don't know their heart. It's not your job to know their heart. It's your job to love them and follow my lead. I said, okay. Being human, I said, are you sure? I know you're sure, but tell me you're sure. Show me. Make me more comfortable. He says, well, and then I'm quickly directed to one of the first verses in the Bible years ago that I memorized. And that is Joshua 1:9. It says, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? For your God will be with you wherever you go. I said, all right. Again, you know what I need, I don't. To me, that was a big period. So that was it. Exclamation point. Let's go with it. So if we look at Mark chapter 7, verses 1 through 8, you can stand in reference to the reading, please. It says, the Pharisees and some of the teachers of the law who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus and saw some of his disciples eating food with hands that were unclean, that is, unwashed. The Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they give their hands a ceremonial washing, holding to the tradition of the elders. When they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash. And they observe many other traditions, such as the washing of cups, pitchers, and kettles. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, why don't your disciples live according to the traditions of the elders instead of eating their food with unclean hands? He replied, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. As it is written, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are but rules taught by men. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to the traditions of men. Lord, we come to you, we just want to thank you for your blessing. Lord, I ask that you use me as a vessel through this message. You know the hearts of everybody, including myself, and you know what we need to hear. You know the message we need to receive. Lord, I put this all in your hands as you guide me while I'm up here and open the hearts of the people listening. Lord, we thank you for all that you do, your love, your mercy, and your grace. And we pray this to you in Jesus' name. Amen. You may be seated. see, if we're going to put it in today's terms, or the terms maybe some we're used to, when Jesus was here on earth, you can kind of look at the reputation he had as those that followed him and those that came to him for healing and teaching. They understood. They knew it was the truth. They felt it. They knew that he was for real. Now, nowadays you have some of these singers, these artists, these famous people, whether it's musicians, actors, whatever it may be. And they have each of them have all their following. They have people that just love them. Okay? They have the little girls that go crazy because Taylor Swift is singing a song on TV or they get to meet her. Okay? Or whoever it may be. But the other side of that we don't see too much of is the people that are just out to destroy them, destroy their reputation, to break them down any chance they get. What we got to realize is Jesus also had people like that when he was here on earth. They wanted to find out, and they sat there and analyzed him and followed him and went to wherever he was because they wanted to seek that one opportunity to point out that one wrong, that he was not following of the law, so they could say, liar! I told you, he's not real. He is not who he says he is. You see, Jesus was too smart for that. He knew it was going to happen. He knew he had those people out there that were going to look for this. His understanding is way beyond anything we can ever imagine. And that goes in all situations. See, the Pharisees and the scribes came from Jerusalem purposely just to see Jesus and see how he was conducting these things. Because they wanted to point out to everybody, and they wanted to be the ones that pointed this out. So when they walk upon him, they see that his disciples were eating without washing of the hands, without the ceremonial washing of the hands that had been brought down from the elders. Now, you ever see somebody do something that you just can't believe that they did? Okay? I know we've had these conversations, maybe in your spouse or your friends, where you're like, I can't believe you just did that. Well, that's kind of the reaction that they had. I cannot believe they're doing this. So see, liar, I told you they do not even wash their hands before they eat. See, Jesus prepared for that too. As we look here, in verses 1 through 9, or 1 through 8, he explains. Now see, this ceremonial washing of the hands began when Jesus erected the temple, and he gave the instructions to Moses, who gave it to Aaron and his family, that before, in the Old Testament, before we are to go into this temple and offer a sacrifice, we must do a washing of our hands and our feet in reference to the purity of the forgiveness of Jesus from this sacrifice. Now see, that was brought down from the elders, and they were still doing it that day. So what they're used to as people, as a tradition, saying to themselves, well, this is the way we've always done it, and obviously they're not doing it, so they're wrong. You see, Jesus had an answer to that. And in verse 6, we see where it says, he replied, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. There's that word, hypocrites. Now, we've all heard that word, hypocrites. Whether we like to admit it or not, some of the people outside of the church that do not attend church, or maybe have this view of people who do attend church, they like to use that word. Harsh but true. Some people feel that way. We can go on for a while on that topic. But see, where Jesus is using it right here is just. Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites, as it is written. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Now, how shocked could the Pharisees and scribes be when they heard that? They were probably just expecting you got me. I'm wrong, you're right, I'm just making this all up. But that's not what it was. It's not what it was at all. See, Jesus knows that man looks on the outside. But God is concerned about the heart. Man is concerned about what you look like. We have different topics. Do we have disagreements in the church? Sure. We all have opinions probably on how things should be done or should go and all that. And we have systems in place where we can voice that and talk about it in love and work it out. But men and people in general too much look on the outside. A lot of times we don't take time because we feel like we don't have time to look at the heart. This is what God is concerned about. Where is your heart? He follows that by saying, they worship me in vain. Their teachings are but rules taught by men. See, when we walk through these doors on a Sunday morning, you ever catch yourself just going through the motions? Even as Christians, do we catch ourselves just coming to church on Sunday because it's Sunday? Because that's what you're supposed to do? You ever catch yourself showing up early at 9:30 because if I don't go to Sunday school, so-and-so will say, well, where were you? Why weren't you here early? I don't feel good that I'm here. You feel fine and you weren't. Do you ever catch yourself when you're asked to serve in a certain place saying, you serious? Why can't so-and-so do it? Why do I have to do it? I do this, I do that. You ever catch yourself saying, well, I haven't seen him or her in a long time. Well, they just show up now and all of a sudden it's all about them. What about me? What about what I want? I think I do enough around here. And I'm not talking about me. It's not my feeling. But do we ever catch ourselves saying, pointing the finger at somebody else or something else, a situation, and losing sight of the whole purpose we are to gather here? To worship God, to glorify God, to serve God, to love others. Is it safe to say, expect to be loved by others? Because if we're all following God in the ways that He wants us to act and live, should we not expect that when we come here? Now, I say if you walk through these doors on a Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Sunday night, Wednesday night, whenever, some of you feel like these doors are open, I should be there. It's great. Sure. Not going to say there's anything wrong with it. There's not. But if you leave these doors the same way you walked in, something's wrong. Something's just not quite right. Because what He has to offer in this church is way more powerful than sometimes we allow it to be. Because sometimes we make what this is all about us. About what I need. I'm struggling this week. I need help. And the pastor's on Romans part 3900. What good is that going to do? I don't need anything in that. said that. I hope not. Please remove that from the record. But we make it about us. Well, he's been doing that same thing for however many weeks in a row. I'm not going. I'm tired anyway. I'm just going to roll over. Stay in bed. Who's preaching today? Well, so-and-so. Well, I'm going to go see him. He doesn't do it very often. Who's it about? Let me ask you something. Who knows what we need? Do we know? We think we do. But who really knows what we need? The one who created us. He knows exactly what needs to be said, when it needs to be said, the situations that need to happen. That is who we need to look to. So when we come through these doors, we need to say, God, show me what I need to see. Open my eyes. But in turn, we need to focus on Him. Instead of going through those traditions and the motions of just being here because we're supposed to be. Because somebody will say something if we're not. Now, someone's not here, you check on them in love, whether something's wrong, fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But you go to somebody and say, girl, you weren't in church. We're talking about you. Not right. Not right. And I don't talk like that for the record. But see, the traditions that these people that the Pharisees and scribes were looking at was a ceremony and ritual that takes place at the washing of the hands. And now what they would do is they would do it in a ceremonial way where they would pour water on one hand, they would take a fist with the other, and they would sit there and scrub their hands like this. And they would get just a little drop of water and do it to the other hand. Okay? That was part of what they did. Now I know we're all encouraged to wash your hands before you eat. I'm big about that. I tell my kids to do that all the time. But this was different. This was a ceremonial washing. Something that was outward. Something that we do, that we went through the motions, that had no meaning from the heart to God. So God comes at him and says, you hypocrites. Now see, I'm not sure if you fully understand exactly what a hypocrite is. See, a hypocrite, it's used a lot in stage and Broadway plays because it's an actor. It's somebody who either would put on a mask or put on a show to portray something that they're really not. See, that's why I get upset when, I don't want to say I get upset, but I'd like to further my discussion when things are said about Christians to be a hypocrite. Because we're not putting, we shouldn't, if we're following the ways of God and putting our heart towards Him, we're not just putting on a show for people to see. We need to realize that that's not what it's about. Are we going to mess up? Sure. But see, just like Jesus had those scribes and those Pharisees waiting for Him to mess up, there's people out there waiting for you to mess up. Because they want to point it out, saying, you're fake. See, I told you, liar. That's what they're waiting for. But see, we keep our hearts towards God and give reverence to God and just come through these doors and say, God, what do you need from me? How can I worship you today? How can I glorify you in this place? Not what do I need? What can I give you, God? Where do I need to look? What do I need to do? See, it's a shame, but a lot of places and churches that I've researched about and thankfully have never been a part of, but the world today has a view that is different from what the church should be. And a lot of churches are now moving their way to please those people. See, God has the truth, and He has a way right here in His book. And I don't know about you, but when I read this book, it's not just a book. But this is the way in what God has left for follow. And when the church starts to turn their ways from the truth to the ways that please the people, you ever feel like you're missing, you ever feel like you're just fighting an uphill battle? You're never gaining any ground, but yet you just seem to keep on scrapping. Well, that's kind of what you're doing when the church does it. That's what's happening. Because we're getting away from the way God wants us to do things and starting to follow and make our own traditions of men. Now, this story that I came across that I want to point out here. See, when churches start to do that, and people accept that as the way to worship and the way to give glory to God, then it's all about us. See, because a lot of times, I know we all have our ways, but we like certain things our way. We like our own bubble because it's set up exactly how we like it. You know, if you kind of think of your own house sometimes, it's the spices go in this cabinet, the dishes go over here, the glasses go over here. Why does somebody put a bowl where the dishes go? Right? You do that too, don't you? I am not the only one. You're not supposed to load the dishwasher that way. Glasses go on top. You don't put the glasses where the dishes go. This is too light. You got to put it on top, or you don't put it in at all. We all like things done a certain way. Apparently, I need to give you guys a few minutes to finish all this. But see, when we treat the church like that, when you're mixing in some bad stuff. See, there was this pastor. The new pastor is a church of about 10,000 people. Big church. His first week, he had met only the board members, a few people in the church. The rest of the congregation members, nobody knew who he was. But they were excited because the week had come for him to be introduced as the new pastor. His first week to address the congregation, his first week to preach, all that stuff. So everyone's excited. Well, at this church, before anything was announced about this pastor and before the service started, it was in a big city, so people looked out the doors and up was walking this homeless man. You could tell he's homeless, and a lot of dirty clothes, long scruffy beard, winter hat in the summertime. You know, just really dirty, really looked like he's been out in the streets and everything, and he said that to himself. So he came in, they welcomed him in. Well, the door greeter did. And he's walking around this church for probably about 20 minutes before the service starts. Trying to say hi to everybody. He asking people for some change or, you know, a few dollars to maybe buy something to eat or something like along those lines. You see, nobody would even address this man. He didn't get a single dime from anybody. A church of 10,000, only 3 people said hello to this homeless man. I'm no mathematician, but I know that's a pretty low percentage of the number. 3 people out of a church of about 10,000 addressed this man. Now, of course, he got a lot of attention because when he came into the church, he decided to sit in the front row. No. You can't sit in the front row. So the ushers came and got him and asked him to sit in the back of the church. Okay. Didn't give him a hard time, didn't give him anything, didn't complain, nothing. He just took himself up and walked to the back of the church. Sat in the very last row. See, apparently, They're under the impression that God does not like to see people who are dirty. Apparently, you've got to be all dressed up, to honor God. There's only one way to do it. You've got to look good. So the service starts, they play a few songs, and it comes time for the announcements. Well, the deacons of the church walk up. They start doing their announcements, go through everything they need to go through. The deacon steps up and says, "We would like to introduce you to our pastor, Jeremiah Stepek." So as the congregation stands up and claps with excitement, everyone's excited to see him. Everyone starts looking around with this look in their face like they don't believe or understand what's going on. As this homeless man gets up from the back row and starts walking towards the front. Homeless man walks all the way up, comes up to the pulpit. When he got in front of them, what he started to do was first look at everyone's face to see how shocked they were, still not knowing what's going on. What he continued to do was he gave them the first words of his very first sermon. And this is what he said. "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you, a stranger, and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick, or in prison, or go to visit you?' The king will reply, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.'" And the pastor went on to explain to the congregation what he experienced as that homeless man walking in. How he got 3 people to say hi to him out of 10,000. And not one single person helped him out with a dime out of their own pocket. Some of them cried. Nearly everybody in that church felt a sense of shame for the way they treated this man, who asked for money and food. That pastor then looked around and not say one more word. Walked down off the pulpit from the stage, went out the door, shut his car, and went home. Came back the next week and he said, "I just wanted to leave you with that feeling of what it felt like. For somebody to walk in these doors and us as a church not love and help and welcome. Because if you can't be welcomed inside a church and look for that when you come into a church, then where else in this world can you come?" See, when we make it about us, and we make it about what can this place do for me, that's what we have an opportunity to turn into. A church that welcomes nobody. So when we give our hearts to God and come here looking and knowing that He is the reason that we are here, then we can turn into a church a lot like this one that welcomes people in with love. See, because we don't, it's not glorifying God. We're not honoring Him. Because when we turn the tables around and make it about us, we're doing exactly what verse 7 says. "They worship me in vain. The teachings are but rules taught by men. See, we may think that we're worshiping Him, but we're not. We may think that things are supposed to be done a certain way, because that's how we've always done it. We may think that we have our own opinions on things, and I'm not saying they're all wrong. We may think that the pastor needs to wear a tie in his church. You can go on a conversation about it. You may think that I shouldn't be sitting here on a stool right now while I'm supposed to be delivering a sermon. Well, I am. I'm delivering the sermon. I'm doing what God wants me to do. And I'm praying that we all do what God wants us to do, especially when we walk in this door. Because if we can't glorify God here, somebody please tell me how we can do it at our homes, in our cars, at our jobs, at school. Just coming in and sitting in these pews doesn't make you a Christian. It doesn't. If I go sit in a classroom, it doesn't make me a teacher. If I sit in a garage, I don't automatically become a mechanic. If I take Dallas's guitar in my hand, doesn't mean I'm going to be able to play it. Because I watch football doesn't make me a football player. Because I have a child doesn't make me a dad. Just because I get married doesn't make me a husband. It's not how it works, though. It's not. Now, we all make mistakes, and we all make things about ourselves because we are human. But the more we draw ourselves closer to God, the less we're going to have to deal with it. Because we'll get the strength where we need it. And from who is the only one that can give it to us. Now, we can get picky, and I might hear some flack about sitting on a stool or wearing a tie or not wearing a tie. That's not what it's about. What it's about is denying myself, picking up my cross like He picked up that. You know, I struggled this week because I wanted to see exactly how far Jesus carried that cross for me, literally, physically. We all know He had to help. We all know how the story goes. They say it was just under a mile. And so many people say, well, it wasn't that far. It's just under a mile. Well, I just want you to know that just under a mile would be from here going down 9th Street to the Shell station. You think you can carry one that far after being beaten and bruised and bloody? I don't think so. I couldn't do it. But that's what He did for us, even though we make so much of this in our lives about us. He still did it. Still. Because He loves us. And He will continue to love us. So let's continue to work on denying ourselves and loving Him. And loving others in the way He wants us to. Let's not go through the motions. Let's not make it for us. There's ways to discuss things, it's fine. And we'll follow those. See, here in a minute, I'm going to open the altar. I invite you guys to come pray. If there's anything, I invite you down here, and I don't want you to be having that feeling at all that, well, I can't go down because so-and-so knows some things that I'm dealing with, and I might feel or thought. It's not like that. Let's not make it like that. God has a weight on our heart. Let's give it to Him. If we're going through struggles, then let's give it to Him. Let's give it to the one that wants it. Because when we do that, we are glorifying God. When we keep it and think we can fix it ourselves, then we are not. We are worshiping him in vain. It says it right here. It's not my words. When we do it our way, we are worshiping him in vain. But when we do it to him, do it his way, and give it to him, all our troubles, everything. And that's what brings honor and glory to him. And I guarantee you, and I know you must have experienced this, but when we do that and give it all to him, no matter what it is, we know that God's right next to us at all times. Do we agree with that? But sometimes we make it about ourselves that we can't understand that he's right here. Because we're so focused on us. We can't see that he's standing right here saying, I'm here. Give it to me. I'll take it. You don't have to do this. You don't have to go through this. I don't want you to. That's why I do this. See, we have free will. We use that in the wrong way. We're never going to hear that, no matter how loud we are. No matter how much screaming, everything that he does, we don't freely choose to turn to him. We're not going to hear it. If we do, you know that there's more blessings to follow. The way I explain it is he's sitting here screaming next to you, and if you turn to him and let him do it, he has just so, like, I call it like the Santa bag, a whole bag of blessings that he's waiting just to put on your life. Because you're choosing to turn to him and following what he wants you to do. I don't know about you, but I don't want to miss out. I'm not saying you're never going to mess up. But when you mess up, where do you find yourself? You don't find yourself at the feet of Jesus praying about what he did and repenting and looking to him for guidance. I don't want to be in that place. I don't want to be anywhere else but there when I mess up. I pray for all of us that none of us want. And I pray that we show others what it's like when we do turn. So don't go through the wilderness. Don't go one more day. Don't go one more minute. Don't walk out those doors the same way you walked in. Those burdens you had when you come through the door, come up here and give it to them. Pray right where you're at, give it to them. Don't leave the same way you came in. The altar's open if you'd like to.